we have to talk, of course, about anti-Semitism when you have a killing like the one they had in Pittsburgh. But the thing that I'm finding so hard right now, and I'm sure this is true of you too, is I'm finding it hard to find out what's not happening in America. Okay, what is not happening in America? We know things that are happening. We know there was terrible shooting. We know before that loon was sending out bombs to Democrats and anti-Trump people. But what is not happening? Are we in the midst of a surge of anti-Semitism, a surge of hatred, a surge of violence? Is that really what's going on? You know, I really do not believe that. I do not believe that. There's this poll from, I don't know, it's one of the, I guess it's the Anti-Defamation League. They've sent out this thing saying, oh, anti-Semitic violence has skyrocketed in the last year. And the whole point of it is to get Trump. It's just to say, oh, how terrible Trump is, and Trump is inciting violence. The stats they use are very, very suspect. The stats they use are very suspect. They count all kinds of things. They talk about this shooting in Pittsburgh as if we haven't had shootings. We've had plenty of shootings in Jewish neighborhoods before, in Jewish facilities. This guy, you know, had the luck of the devil, and he killed more people than some of these other shooters have. But that's just, you know, that's the way these things break. But we have had this stuff before. The problem we're having is this system we have fallen into. You all know it. We all know it's true. The system we have fallen into of trying to pin evil actions on whatever it is we don't like in life. It's video games. I don't like video games. I don't like the Second Amendment, so it must be the Second Amendment. I don't like President Trump, so it's all President Trump. And yes, do I believe the left does this more? Yes, because I believe the left controls more of the narrative than we do. The left controls more the networks, entertainment, academia. So yes, they do it more, but we do it too. And we start answering, well, you didn't blame Obama when the 5 cops were killed in Dallas and all this stuff. And look, we degrade ourselves. I mean, for a while, and I talked about this while it was happening, that guy, Anthony Jeselnik, remember he had that show called Thoughts and Prayers, and he made a joke about how thoughts and prayers don't mean anything. And suddenly it was wrong to send thoughts and prayers. I mean, how low does your national conversation have to sink before you can't send thoughts and prayers to strangers who are heartbroken? There's nothing else you can do for them, so you do that. So look, I don't want to play down the evil of anti-Semitism. I don't want to say that we're not angry at one another. We are angry at one another. There's a lot of anger in the streets when you have politicians being chased out of restaurants, and you have, you know, people going on TV and saying, you know, that we should do more of this. We should get in people's faces. When you have the TV station telling you that because a woman accused a man of sexual malfeasance, if you don't believe her, you're not believing all women. That kind of madness, that insane level of debate where if you don't agree with something, suddenly, you know, I hear people saying, oh, if you hate George Soros, you're anti-Semitic. Like George Soros, who has done everything he can to destroy the state of Israel, to destroy America, you know, but he happens to be racially Jewish. It's not like he's going to shul. The guy, you know, has nothing to do with being actually Jewish. He just is racially Jewish. So if you don't like George Soros, now suddenly you're contributing to anti-Semitic violence. And the left politicizes everything. They do. They politicize everything. But let's just stop for a minute and talk about what's not happening. Remember, they had that poll. Some organization called More in Common had that study called Hidden Tribes, where they came out and said the thing that headlined the news about it in the right-wing press was that people hated political correctness. Everybody was talking about people hated political correctness. But buried in there too was this fact that 25% of Americans are traditional conservatives. 25%, that's a quarter, 1 in 4 Americans are traditional conservatives. 8% are progressives. Everybody else doesn't want to belong to any group, is willing to compromise, is happy to talk. They call them the exhausted majority. That makes, so just doing it, that's 67%. That's what I always say. I always say 70% of America could come to terms about 70% of the issues, right? So we're not living in a hate-filled world. We're not living in a place where everybody is, you know, screaming at each other and hates each other. That's not what's happening.